I'm going to tell you the story of Black Ops 6, as I understand it based on leaks, trailers, and my own theories before Black Ops 6 launches in 2 days. I am Icebergs, your Call of Duty informant, and let's dive right into the information that you need to know. So first off, I would like to apologize to everyone. This video was supposed to come out sooner than I expected. However, I ended up trying to take a nap and fell asleep and slept for like 8 hours. And as y'all probably know, I've had about 10 hours of sleep in the last week. Anyways, I'd like to apologize once again for this video not coming out sooner, and here's the story of Black Ops 6 as I understand it. The Black Ops 6 story starts in 1991 with the main character William Case Calderon, alongside Troy Marshall, Jane Harrow, and being directed through headquarters by Frank Woods. Together, these 4 individuals have been sent to capture a high-value target in Kuwait at the time of the first Gulf War. Now, it's not clear who this high-value target is at the current time, but come up later in the story. In the field, you have Troy Marshall, Jane Harrow, and William Case Calderon, who are all working together and trying to link up with a Delta Force squad to help stop this convoy and get their high-value target. However, this Delta Force squad is led by one Helen Park, who was met in Black Ops Cold War. And she tells us that they have different objectives that they need to achieve in the area. They need to destroy a couple Scud missile launchers. And they have 3 major targets kind of on the way to the actual convoy site. At this point, Troy Marshall, Jane Harrow, and William Case Calderon, depending on what you pick, will help Delta Force and Helen Park go destroy these Scud missile launchers before eventually moving into a cliffside overlooking a road. This is where they expect a convoy to be driving through with the high-value target. It's from here that Troy Marshall and Jane Harrow use laser designators to pick off the first and last vehicle in the convoy, creating a box and trapping all the vehicles inside. From here, our CIA strike team moves in alongside Delta Squad to actually try to capture this high-value target, and we get this scene right here, revealing that the high-value target is in fact Russell Adler, who does not want to be captured and is fighting simultaneously Troy Marshall and Jane Harrow, with what appears to be Case looking on from a probably injured position on the ground. After successfully capturing Russell Adler, Frank Woods comes by with a nearby helicopter to pick up Russell Adler, the high-value target, and the rest of the team. And it's here in this helicopter that Russell Adler reveals Pantheon and their plans, and the fact that they have some new chemical weapon that no one knows anything about. After eventually getting back to a friendly American base, Russell Adler is handed off to CIA to be interrogated about what he knows. And from here, Troy Marshall, Frank Woods, Jane Harrow, and William Case Calderon are all sent back to Washington, D.C. to have a debrief on the mission with a Deputy Director, Daniel Livingstone. Based on everything we've seen from the trailer, this meeting does not go well. Jane Harrow has somewhat dismissed this idea of Pantheon because it doesn't seem very probable that there would be a secret organization within the CIA who secretly runs everything. However, Woods knows Russell Adler and trusts him very well. And since Woods knows Adler, Troy Marshall trusts Frank Woods' decision. And so together, these two back up Russell Adler and believe that there's this group Pantheon within the CIA who is trying to do something. However, from what we can tell, Director Daniel Livingstone gets pissed and suspends these two alongside William Case Calderon. He basically suspends them until they can prove that Russell Adler was in fact making up all this stuff about Pantheon because he doesn't believe it's real either. Following this mission, Frank Woods and Troy Marshall kind of realize that they might be the only ones who know about Pantheon and might be the only ones who can stop it. And from here, they try to assemble a team of people to help them out to try to prove that Russell Adler is right and get their names cleared as not being conspiracy nuts. It's here that they go to a mission which was called Contract, where they meet Felix Newman and Savati Dumas and assemble this rogue Black Ops team. From here, the rogue Black Ops team heads to a secret safe house from the 1960s. A former KGB black site that was frankly forgotten about by both the USSR and the United States. And this safe house will be the staging point for all operations moving forward. And it's here that they decide that they need to break Russell Adler out of the CIA black site and try to get him back on their side and get him to help out with Stop the Pantheon. And that's where we get to the mission Most Wanted. Now, this is a mission we saw in the reveal, but we only saw the first half of the mission in the gameplay reveal Call of Duty showed us. Most Wanted sees Troy Marshall, William Case Calderon, and Savati Dumas infiltrating a Clinton fundraiser for his upcoming presidential election, as beneath this is a CIA black site where Russell Adler is being held. From here, the team has a couple options of how they want to get a key card allowing them access into this underground facility. And this is where you have kind of options and you can choose how you want to play. But once you get this key card, with this key card in hand, Marshall and Case head down many stories into an underground CIA facility, and upon opening the door, they discovered that the facility was in fact attacked by Pantheon, a secret organization within the CIA who had already beaten them to the punch and were trying to get to Russell Adler. From here, William Case Calderon and Troy Marshall eventually fight their way through and make it to save Russell Adler from this interrogation. From here, Russell Adler basically confirms with Troy Marshall that, hey, we've met before, we know each other, we can trust each other because we both know Frank Woods and Frank Woods' decision-making. The team then fights their way out, fighting a juggernaut as they try to ascend up an elevator cable. From here, they eventually get blown up on the elevator cable and thrown to the side before eventually fighting their way up some stairs and fighting out the main door of the Clinton fundraiser. Eventually, Russell Adler, Troy Marshall, and William Case Calderon steal a couple of motorbikes that were left for an auction to help raise money for Clinton's fundraiser. And they use these to escape the police and Pantheon forces inside of DC, starting a big long chase until eventually they get to a helicopter. Once getting into the helicopter, they realize that Pantheon has brought their own helicopter and does not want Russell Adler to escape. And here begins a big mid-air fight between the two helicopters before eventually Case is thrown out of the helicopter dangling by a rope. He cuts this rope, runs across some constructed rooftops, and dives into the helicopter before they race off back to the safe house. Once back at the safe house, Russell Adler reveals to the rogue Black Ops teams everything he knows about Pantheon and their kind of developing of a chemical weapon. And from here they decide that the best option is to in fact attack a underground facility for Pantheon, but we don't exactly know where this facility is. And it's here that Case infiltrates this facility, picks up a grappling hook, and then gets exposed to this new chemical weapon that Pantheon is developing. And he starts seeing illusions and figures and things that weren't really there, hinting that there's something else going on inside of his mind, as well as the fact that this Pantheon's new chemical weapon is messing with his mind and making him violent and making him see things that might not really be there. On his way out of this facility, he picks up a VCR tape that appears to have something on it. Now, we're never actually shown what's on this VCR tape throughout any of the trailers, but we can make a pretty clear assumption of what it is. This videotape, when they get back to the safe house, is reviewed, and it's revealed that someone that Troy Marshall knows is helping to run this chemical program with Pantheon, and that this chemical weapon is in fact a neurotoxin that messes with the brain and affects people in a different way. And this tape is supposed to show what the effects are on the average human being. But one of the people shown in the tapes is someone that Troy Marshall knows. However, it's clear that he doesn't know who's being tested on, but he knows someone else who's in the room. And the only person in this rogue Black Ops team who's not in the room when this tape is being shown is Jane Harrow, showing that Jane Harrow, in fact, betrayed Russell Adler, Troy Marshall, and Frank Woods, and on top of that has been supplying these chemical weapons to Saddam Hussein for him to basically test them out in the Gulf War. After finding out that the weapon is being supplied to Saddam Hussein, Felix Newman does some digging and eventually finds that Saddam Hussein has in fact taken out a vault underneath the casino to store all of his stuff outside of Iraq and Kuwait. Now, this appears to be in either France or somewhere else, but it's not really clear. It's a European country. From here, we have the casino heist mission. Now, Call of Duty has been very insistent that this mission will see you switching between all of the different members of the rogue Black Ops team as you go through this casino heist mission, as everyone has a specific job to do. And upon breaking into this vault, they discover that there is a bunch of information about this new chemical weapon Pantheon is developing, so they grab the information and get out of there as fast as they possibly can. And upon getting back to the safe house, they review all of the information to reveal that Pantheon has some interest in the Vorkuta prison complex in Russia. So the team decides that they need to find out what's going on at the Vorkuta prison complex, because it should have been shut down a very long time ago, and find out what Pantheon's interests are. And the way they decide to do this is to go to Vorkuta and send Savati Dumas in by herself to actually try to infiltrate the facility and find out what's going on. But as we know, eventually she gets discovered, and this starts a massive firefight across the entire Vorkuta base, with Russell Adler on a minigun in a nearby helicopter, absolutely leveling as many people as he can. However, this is where it gets unclear. Upon returning to the safe house, the team is ambushed by Pantheon, and it appears that there is some type of big firefight going on, with Frank Woods using a shotgun to try to kill people with a riot shield. But after this point, we don't know anything else about the missions past this. However, I do know the name of the last two missions in Black Ops 6. The last two missions are Emergence and Redacted, hinting that there's something else coming towards the end of the game, and it is my belief that at the Emergence level will be a mission set around William Case Calderon discovering that he was brainwashed by Pantheon. And if you want to know more about that, click on this video right here, and until next time, I am Icebergs, your Call of Duty informant. Stay frosty.